taking a first look at our new Vertex Mark II pedal boards. So I got them all in. I got like the first versions of each of them. They're on their way to Sweetwater now. So if you're interested in anything that you see, talk to your Sweetwater Sales Engineer. They are headed over there now. Um, and let's just get into it. I'm going to start with the smallest size first, which is the travel light. So this is 17 inches by 10 inches. So this is the smallest size. We'll do a quick unboxing. Now, first thing you'll notice is that it has branding on it now. So we have Vertex branding on the riser, on the surface. Now, this will likely be covered, but as far as one of the complaints that some people had is that there wasn't any branding on it, so we have some branding now, so people will know that that these are actually Vertex pedal boards. Now, here's one of the coolest things about them. Now, this is the Travel Light Series 1 riser, so that means it goes all the way across. I'll show you the different ones in a moment. But the coolest thing about it is you notice in the front, there's no set screws anymore. Used to be that you either had to use a thumb screw here or there was a set screw that it came with that would lock the top. But now everything is magnetic. So let me show that view to you. And these magnets are pretty hardcore, I have to say. All right, so check it out. Let's make it a little bit further. I mean, you can hear it. Just listen to this lock. Listen to this. I mean, it's like serious. Like I have to kind of really put some elbow grease in there to, it really comes down. And so this size board, the 17 by 10, this is the Travel Light, and it actually, it's a great choice if you want to be able to either use a really small abbreviated switcher, or I even like using these for a board that doesn't have a switcher, because by the time you put your power supply and your interface in here, or some sort of always-on pedal, you're pretty much already maxed out. But here's the other cool thing, and I'll show you kind of how many pedals fit on this. The other cool thing is every one of them has an option to add an interface box on the right side or the left side, and to add a power module. This power module is not a power supply. It's basically just a glorified power strip that allows you to use multiple power supplies and just connect them to this, so you just have a single IEC coming out. So I'll show you those also in a minute and how that works, but let's just pretend you're interested in this particular one, 17 by 10. So obviously you're gonna need a power supply. This is probably a little bit bigger than what you might use, but we'll just go with the largest size, just considering that you may have that. And then let's just see kind of how many pedals fit on there. Now you definitely could, you know, fit something like abbreviated, like a G3 Atom or a PBC6X or this Musicom Lab EFX LE2. Something like this could work. But let's just pretend you're just using pedals today. So we'll kind of use some standardized ones like a Tube Screamer. So you got a Steel String Supreme. Let's see, what else do we have? I'll bring in my pedal box. Maybe you got a Timmy. Maybe you want to go with like a little booster there at the end. Something like that. Maybe you want to have a little compression going on. Ego Comp. Now obviously if you use some smaller pedals or stuff with top jacks, you get these pretty cramped together, but I'm just kind of giving you a general lay of the land. You could also put, you know, obviously you can have the option for an interface over here if you wanted, but if you had something that was like an always-on type pedal, let's say, like, I don't know, what would be a pedal that you'd use always on? Maybe a boost, maybe something like the Archer. You just love that always on. You could always throw that under there if you needed to. You have that option. And then go to the top row, and let's just say we want to have a graphic EQ. Let's say that we want to have a tremolo. Let's say that we want to have the Providence chrono delay. That sounds like a good one. What else would we want? Oh, I didn't put a tuner on here. So maybe what we'll do, we'll move everything over. I feel like every board needs a tuner, right? Some sort of tuner. We'll put the Sonic Research tuner in there, and we'll move up the EP booster up here. Got some standard Boss pedals, kind kind of just all common stuff. Let's get a reverb. Let's see what we got for reverb. All right, I'm gonna put a golden reverb right here. And so this is pretty cool. So this is 17 by, messed up my order. This is 17 by 10, and I can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 standard size pedals on here. And you know, if you wanted to include the underneath pedal that we're just calling the always on pedal, which is the Archer, but it could be whatever you want. That'd be 11. You got your power supply. You could have your buffer module built already into the side, so you got all your ins and outs consolidated to one size. This is pretty compact for 17 by 10. And then of course, if you have a volume pedal or a wah or something like that, we make a version of the top shelf. It actually has a cutout in it so that you could choose to designate one of these front pedal spots as something for a volume pedal or a wah or an expression. So I'll show you that real quick. Now I'm just going to kind of lay it right over the top just so you kind of have a visual aid. So you can see how this has a cutout here. So this would be the place where you then, you know, take something like, let's see, like this Dunlop. This Dunlop volume pedal could be something that would very easily fit in this space, give you plenty of clearance. It actually has enough clearance to even get something like a Ernie Ball VP Junior if you wanted. It would be tight. You'd barely just clear, but you would be able to clear. So you wouldn't be able to use a FV 500L or something like that. But as far as 17 by 10 inches dimensions, like this is about as compact as you're going to be able to get for this number of pedals. Because again, we're building up by way of the use of the riser. And again, you can have those buffer modules. And I'll just grab that buffer module. I think it's on one of my pedal boards already. Let's see. Here's the buffer module. I'll pull this up. So I have it mounted into another interface. But here it is. So basically you got your input, which has an input buffer. You have a send, which is passive. You could also use this as a passive input because it's just a straight through. It's TRS. You could also use this as TRS pass through for your amp. It has a return. So you could use this send and return as a insert loop for an audition pedal if you wanted, or you could use it to go 4-cable method. And then I have two output buffers. So you have an output buffer left, output buffer right, and then you have a polarity switch for the right output buffer because it has a isolation transformer on it. So you have a buffer here, this is passive, you have a buffered return, buffered output with ISO transformer, and a polarity switch. So this is basically built into the sidewall. This would be as though if I were going back here, this is not the right riser, but it would be like it was built into the sidewall of it. And it's just these three screws allow you to mount it into any of the pedal boards. It's the same exact module, fits on every model pedal board. So that's that side. And then the other side, here's the power module. So you can see it's like one IEC here. And then if we look on the inside, it has two different power outlets. So you can have two power supplies coming into it and only one that has to go out of it. Equally, you can see here, the inside of the buffer interface, you got your power for the 9 volts, and then these are just all the throughs that correspond to the reciprocal jacks on this side. So this, again, is mountable not just in this giant one for our Tour Elite, but this can go into literally any one of the pedal boards. It's designed to fit across all of them. If you're a lefty, you can mount it on the opposite side, so it can work for a left-handed person. Equally, with the power module, it can go either side. If you're lefty or righty, you can designate which side you want the interface box. It'll just be, the jacks will be in a, you know, the orientation of the jacks will be the same. So you just have to keep that in mind in terms of your input is going to be on the top if you move it over to the other side. So just keep that in mind. But this is all laser etched. This is this cutout is slightly different than the production ones, and so it'll have a laser etching across, so you'll know on the actual interface, like this is guitar, this is send, this is return, this is amp 1, this is amp 2. It'll give you all that information on there, so you'll have that. So anyway, this is the, down here, this is the Tour or Travel Light 17 by 10. Any questions about this one? I'm going to move on to the next size up, which is 20 by 11. Let's just see if we have any questions here before we before we get crazy and go to the next one. Gabby Bergman, what's up, buddy? Surprise stream. And mom is here. I don't think it's my mom, but somebody's mom, maybe. Did the broadcast pause for anybody? I don't know. Let's see, working now. All right. Wish I had a pedal box. I have pedal shelves. All right. Yeah, well, I have a pedal box because we'd done a video kind of showing some of this stuff earlier this week, and so I kind of consolidated everything so it was a little easier to travel with. And Scott Brockway says, I like the Touring Elite. We'll show that one today too. I don't have a ton. I have until like 2 o'clock, so we got about 32 minutes. So we're gonna try to cram it all in. Can you see the sides again? You want to see the sides of the modules? We'll show them. So you got, obviously this is built into the biggest riser, but again, these are universal fit across all of them. So here's the side. So you got input buffer. This is either a send or a passive through. So like if you didn't want to use the input buffer, you had a fuzz, you could use this as the passive through to hit the fuzz so you don't have that input buffer. Then you have another buffer here on the return, because this is send return, and this is output left, output right, polarity switch, because the right output, this one, has an isolation transformer on it. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 buffers on this thing. So you can use them all, you could use some of them, you could, I guess if you want to use the output, you at least have to use a buffer there, but you can choose whether you want to use the input or output buffer. And this is capable of doing wet, dry, wet, wet, dry, 4 cable method, 5 cable method, mono, and stereo. So it can do everything in one. And then again, here's the power module. And then if you look at the power module, let's get some good light on it. You have basically 2 AC plugs here. So you can have 2 power supplies that come in on this side. And then on the opposite side, you just have 1 IEC that goes to the wall. All right, so here was again, back on the bench. 17 by 10. This fits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pedals, plus an additional one underneath if you want to have something always on. And then also we have a True Tone 1-spot power supply under there. So quite a few pedals. Definitely you can handle it all. And then if you did want to switch out this riser, you could swap out for one that has a cutout. This is the Travel Light 2, which is exactly the same, except it has this cutout, so you could put a treadle style pedal here, like a wah or a volume pedal or an expression pedal. And you would basically lose approximately, depending on the size pedal, somewhere between 2 to 4 pedals, depending on what you use. This guy is fairly compact, so you might be able to fit like another mini pedal next to it potentially. But if you had something that was a little bit wider, you may not be able to do that. But you have this option if you wanted to throw that on there instead of the TL1, because the one that's here now is the TL1 riser. Let's go to our next size up though. We can kind of see what that looks like by contrast. All right, so here's the next one. So this is Travel Plus. So 11 by 20. Do a little unboxing here. All right, Travel Plus, here we go. So Travel Plus is 20 by 11. So this is kind of the next size up. And I should say that both this version and the last version, they're both carry-on compatible. And all the cases that we recommend will allow you to carry this on an airplane. It'll be under the size requisite, or it'll be within the requisite size constraints, and it will be under the weight restraint or constraints. So you'll have everything you need in order to be able to travel with this thing in the overhead baggage, taken on the plane. This will fit. If you want to see an example of what this looks like built, same sized, obviously different features, check out Paul Jackson Jr.'s rig. Again, it still has the magnetic latches, so this can shut magnetically, no set screws. Also, you notice there's no more center beam anymore on these. So you don't need a center beam. We've reinforced the top so it is plenty strong to do that. On some of the larger ones, we have like a little kickstand that you can put down for some extra rigidity. I'll show you that on some of the other ones. This one also has an alternate size riser, also has the ability again to put your buffer module or your power module on either side or have one on each side. Let me show you the other riser. So here's the other riser option. So it's basically, again, exact retrofit, no holes that need to be drilled, except it's got this cutout in the event that you say have something like, I don't know, a wah pedal that you want to have here in this place, or you want to have a volume pedal or whatever you want to put there. You have the ability to do that. Still has the magnetic latches, still has all of the cutouts for the power or the buffer interface. And then you see that kickstand that's available. So when you're, you know, all inverted here so you can kind of see. But basically that kickstand just offers you some rigidity there. And then if you don't need it or you're not getting any flex, you can always just put it up. But if you feel like you need it, you feel like you're getting a little bit of flex because of how you're pressing down on this, you can always apply the kickstand or flip it up. Again, it's got our laser etched Vertex logos in here. Let's see how many pedals approximately this will fit. So we got power supply up in the corner, right? Everybody does that pretty much. If you wanted to put your power module here, you could do that if you needed to use two supplies that both required access to the AC mains. Let's see what this guy might look like with a switcher. Let's put on the Musicom Lab for this one. We'll put on the EFX-LE and kind of see what it does. So that means that we can definitely use space underneath. So let's say we want to have a steel string, we want to have a tube screamer. Let's pretend that this is going to be a really John Mayer style rig. So we got that, we got that. Just want to make sure I'm accounting for space that you would require for the buffer module to fit. So easily 3 pedals under there. Let's pretend that we need a tuner here. Let's pretend that we want to have a little boost and compression up front. Making this sort of real life spacing here that I would use if I were actually building a rig that resembled this. I might even have some space for like a small mini pedal like right there if I needed it. But so far on the bottom row, we got the switcher, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pedals. So again, packing a lot of power here, a lot of pedals for not very big of a space. We're gonna do the golden reverb and the Providence again. Let's pretend I wanna do a graphic EQ again. And let's say this time I want to also have like an analog delay option. So I have like an analog and a digital. And let's pretend, what else would I want on this thing? Let's pretend I want to do like a little, maybe I want to throw like that mini tremolo in that little space over there. I have a little mini tremolo love pedal. Could throw that in there. And let's say I want to do a chorus. Do I have space for anything else? I'm kind of maxed out on loops anyway. It's like almost like I can fit more pedals here than the available loops on the EFX-LE. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then on the bottom 9, 10, 11, 12. So I could fit 12 pedals on here if I wanted to. I got a switcher, I got the power supply. So you're getting a ton of pedals. This is carry-on friendly, folks. You can put this thing in overhead baggage. This is gonna fit all the criteria. We have cases already listed on the website. The sizes of our pedal boards haven't changed. It's just some of the features that have changed. Now let's pretend though that you had this exact same thing, but you wanted to use instead a volume pedal or some sort of treadle style effect, like wah, expression, whatever it may be. You know, this is gonna be a little bit of a primitive mock-up, but let's just pretend we had this here. We'd probably have to lose these guys, or at least where they live spatially, because this would kind of be sitting in its place, you know, taking up that space. But let's see how much we could reincorporate if we were going to do something like that, kind of roughly what it would look like. Just kind of giving us a rough idea. I think we could still go graphic EQ. And I think we might even be able to still fit chorus in here. So we did lose a little bit, right? We lost our analog delay, but I am gaining, you know, a Dunlop volume pedal, or an Ernie Ball would also totally fit in that available space if we did want it. But you're definitely able to fit that. You could definitely fit a wah in that available space. If you needed the wah, you could definitely fit that in there, no problem. Got plenty of room to go. So there's a lot of different ways that you could orient this. Again, these are all from the same series. This is just the version 2 of the same riser. So you got your Travel Plus with a TP1 riser here. And then this is Travel Plus with the TP2 riser. The 2 just indicates that it has this cutout versus the one that doesn't have that cutout. So pretty insane amount of pedals. I mean, definitely more than this switcher could accommodate. Let's see what we got. And again, I'm kind of using bigger size stuff here. I mean, I guess this Dunlop Volume X8 is 8 inches, so it's a little bit smaller, but the Ernie Ball, totally standard size. Volume pedal, the full tone, also pretty standard size, even maybe a little bit bigger in some ways than a normal wah pedal. Let's see. I'm looking here just to go back to where we were. Can you see the design again? Okay, that was where we were. Yes, it is convenient. I'm glad you dig them, Jeremy Walker. And where would you mount a wireless receiver? I'd probably put it on top. You could probably even put it on bottom. Most of those wireless receivers are pretty hardcore now. I would just leave it in some of that empty space, especially if you had one of those smaller ones where you kind of have an easy space to just stash something maybe that's on all the time, like a wireless receiver. And our V1's going to be upgradable. That's a great question. Yeah, so the whole pattern on these is exactly the same as a V1. So you could buy the V2 risers. You'd have all the ability to have the magnets and you'd have these modules. So yes, they are upgradable. The sizing of them doesn't change. So you could upgrade a V1 to a V2 using your existing platform. Definitely could do that. Let's see, what else we got? Yeah, Eric, Mom, AC plug is dope. Yeah. What's going on with the holes in the top? Okay, so he's asking about these holes in the top. So let's show him. So we put these holes in the top because if you wanted to stack 2 power supplies, the lowest profile other than the chocks is the one spot CS6. And this is their hole pattern for the CS6. So you could actually mount a CS6 inside here and it would still sit on the top shelf so that you could use, say, a CS12 or whatever supply you want here, and you could put a CS6 up here if you wanted. We're actually going to include on the production, which is basically this minus like 2 small little things, which is the laser etching of the buffer interface module and the power module. There'll be laser etching on there just to say what each jack does. There'll be a couple of different hole patterns up here on top so that you could put a chocks, like a smaller chocks, like a DC4, or you could put like a low profile X8, X4. You could, of course, always dual lock it or use our power grip to put it up there. But for those that want to mount them and they come with the pre-mounted kits, these are already drilled based on their pre-mounted kits. So you can literally just screw it in from the top and you can have a power supply that's hard mounted to the bottom if you wanted that option, just to free up some space underneath. So that's an option too. So let's see how we're doing on time because I got until 2 o'clock. Got 20 minutes. So I think we're gonna have to start going. I'll try to come back to the questions, and of course, if I miss your question, I am so sorry, and I mean that sincerely, and you can always put your question in the comments after. I don't know if you can put comments now. If you can, write it in the comments, and I'll get to it over the weekend. Otherwise, you'll have to wait, I guess, until it's over, and then put your comment. I will definitely try to get to it all for you so that we can get all the questions answered, but this was, again, 20 by 11. I always get all these names confused. Travel Plus. Travel Plus. I know it's bad that I forget it, but sometimes I do. All right, we'll put this guy away. Let's go to our next guy. All right. Next one. Bigger unboxing this time. So this is a Tour Compact. So this is 26 by 14. Much bigger board. Woo. All right. Look at those rubber feet. Those aren't your mama's rubber feet. All right. Where's it daddy's? Those aren't your daddy's rubber feet. So this one is the second largest, not the largest. There's one bigger than this, But this guy is 26 by 14. Again, has all of the same module options. So you can put power AC either side. You have that option for everything across the board. Has the magnetic lashes. Now, the full-size guys like this don't have the little kickstand because you don't need it. This is plenty rigid as it is. You definitely don't need that. But this thing fits a ton of pedals. And the reason that we made these particular sizes is that it aligns with the common, I'll look at you for this. It aligns with the common case sizes that you get from SKB or Gator or Pelican. And we have a compatible case list on our website. Even though it still shows MK1 there, the pedal board sizes are the same, so the case recommendations are exactly the same. So for most of our vendors that carry these, like Hal Leonard and Chicago Music Exchange and Sweetwater, they carry those cases already. So you could just bundle them together, buy the case with this so that you can get it already ready to go. It comes in the case. These are all designed to also meet the requirements for checked baggage. Now these are too big at 26 by 14 to put in an overhead compartment. The lower two pedal boards, the 17 by 10 and 20 by 11, can fit in carry-on. These cannot, but the idea here is with common pedals with this size in the cases that we recommend that it will be under the 50-pound weight limit so that you can use these and check them and not have to pay the overweight. And if you want to see a rig build with this exact size pedal board, not the Mark II version, check out the Emily Wolf pedal board build because we did an RGM PBC 10 for her on this, and it was absolutely great. So let's grab a PBC 10 and see what happens. All right. So we got 10 loops on the PBC 10. So we got that. PBC 10 is there. Now we're going to be able to fit. I know that we're going to get more than 10 pedals. Those magnets are serious. All right, so let's go underneath. Of course, we need the power supply. Of course, we need that. And let's go nobles on this one. Let's do Archer. This has a tuner, so I don't really need a tuner for this. Let's get a Timmy in there. It's kind of look like more of a Nashville style rig. Let's go a little steel string Supreme. That's looking good. Can definitely fit something under here. Maybe a tube screamer could fit there. Might be a little bit big. Maybe we'll go EP. Maybe we'll go EP in there. Maybe we'll do a little SP in there. EP, SP. Do that. Up in the front, let's maybe you want access to that graphic EQ. And since it's a switcher, these can really live anywhere, right? And let's pretend this person is like a huge EVH fan. They want that overdrive, the EVH overdrive. There we go. There's our bottom row. We might even have a little space here if we want to get crazy, maybe throw in like a trem. I mean, you can see already, like we have more pedals here with plenty of routing spaces in between stuff. We only got 10 loops. We already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pedals on this thing. So I mean, you could really go crazy with what you did. Let's go up to the top shelf. Let's use the golden again. Let's go DD 500 here for this guy. And let's go with vibrato. A little chorus, a little vibrato. Let's do some tremolo. It's kind of looking Nashville-y, right? Let's get crazy. Let's throw a Voodoo Labs Sparkle Drive on there. Look at this thing. So I mean, we got a ton of pedals on here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on top, and then what did we say we had below? 9, 10 with the tremolo. So we got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, a power supply, and we got the switcher. Now, probably you'd have to mount that power supply. You know how we have the 3 little bolts here where you could put like a CS6 here. You'd have to add that obviously for this, but you have the space to do it. We have plenty of clearance underneath. It's not going to hit the pedals below. You could literally go crazy. You can fit more pedals on this than what the switcher will take. And then of course you have your options for your cutouts if you want to add a volume, a wah. Now in this one, it actually has an option for a double cutout or a single cutout. So let me grab that so you see that. So here's like the single cutout version. If you just wanted to go with like a single wah or volume pedal. So if you did that, let's just pretend we got an Ernie Ball VP Junior here. You know, so you could fit that. The Ernie Ball VP would, let me get us a little bit better angle. Ernie Ball VP would totally fit. Use your Van Halen and just have the EQ, and you'd probably lose your tremolo and maybe have to move some stuff slightly, but that would totally work right there. So you basically lose 2 pedals by way of doing this, but again, you already have more pedals than loops, so what's the harm, right, in just doing that? So this is the, which one? This is the Tour Compact with the TC2 riser here. That's just a single cutout. The one below that goes all the way is the TC1, and then we have the TC3, which basically all right. So here's double cutout on this guy. So this would basically allow you to do something like, let me just get us sitting flat. So imagine our same pedals, or some of our same pedals. Let's say we have the Golden, let's say we have the DD500 here, and then maybe over on this side, let's say we still want to do a chorus. You could fit these guys kind of side by side here. You could do a vibrato, kind of going this way. You could do a little tremolo action this way, because you got the space to go back if you needed it. Couldn't fit the sparkle drive anymore. Now, this is going to make this type of switcher, as you can see, untenable, because you can see that it goes over too far. So you wouldn't be able to necessarily use that style switcher. You might have to use something like a PBC6X, or something where it disaggregates the switcher, where you have like your 6 loops of kind of stuff that's going to be all the dry stuff, and then you could use something like a Musicom Lab to kind of supplement so that it could go somewhere else on the board. That's an option. But you could definitely fit one of these guys and one of these guys on here, no problem. So you can have your wah and your volume next to a smaller switcher like a PBC6X or an Atom from Gig Rig, the G3 Atom, or you could go with something like a Boss ES5, and then you could use like an expander loop section, like RGM has the mini effects gizmo, I think it's called, which is basically just like the loops part of the switcher. So we got that. And then there's one more size that's bigger than this. So you saw that we had kind of the single cutout. We know we just had a single treadle. This one has the double. So this one is the Tour Compact with the TC3 riser, and then the one that has no cut at all is the TC1 riser. So we got lots of stuff going there. I'll show you now the biggest one of them all. Let me clear this. Show the pedal boards. That's a more interesting one. All right, I'm gonna go get the Big Daddy. Here we go. Had to make a little room because it's so much bigger. All right, here we go. So this is the Tour Elite. And this is the biggest of all the boards. So this is 29 by 16, 29 by 15, sorry, 29 by 15. Now this thing can really handle, without the cutout, and this is with a Tour Elite 1, so this is the full size, and then obviously there's the Tour Elite 2, which has the single cutout, and then there's the Tour Elite 3 that has a double cutout. We'll show you those. But this can, whew, that's tough. This can literally fit whatever you want. You know, you could You could even outfit this guy probably with a secondary, like, you know, line mixer if you wanted to have some stereo pedals. And I think even on this one you could even fit the 8 just barely if you wanted to go with a Dunlop Volume X8. It actually clears the top, so you're still, no, I lied. It barely doesn't clear. I think if we actually put it on a 1/2-inch riser, it would clear. But I lied about that. But that's why we have the cutouts. All right, so we already have our tuner built in, so we don't need a tuner for this purpose. Let's say we want to go bigger pedals. Let's say we want Wampler Ego, we want a Sparkle Drive, we want a Timmy up front. And then underneath, let's go Tube Screamer, Steel String, let's go Archer, let's go Nobles. Let's say we want to get an EP booster in here. Let's say we want to get, what else do we want in here? Let's say this guy also likes Van Halen. Got some Van Halen in here. You could even put some more pedals in here, but we're sort of already getting close on loops. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pedals already, plus the switcher. We only got 10 loops. We go here, we go here. I could put my line mixer up here if I wanted, like throw that guy over here. So I could say put my 100% wet reverb, 100% wet delay, maybe even, this one doesn't go 100% wet, but let's say you had 100% wet chorus you want to throw in there, you could do that, or pitch shift, you could have that in there. Let's say you wanted to do some vibrato, do some tremolo. And I mean, this is just going this way. If I were really tight for space, I could do something like this, right? And really be able to load this thing up with a bunch of stuff, because if this is all controlled by the switcher, I don't need to access these back switches. I can maneuver the switcher to be able to do all that for me. Plus I got my parallelizer, which has MIDI, so I can control this guy by this guy. So it's basically giving me 3 extra parallel loops that I could put my wet processing effects. So this is crazy. It's like 2, 4, 6, plus the line mixer, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 pedals you could fit in here. I don't think anybody would ever, they wouldn't do it in this configuration. I feel like you need to utilize the cutouts for this one because there's just more pedals than there is for the switcher to even be able to accommodate. So I don't know if you'd ever actually do this, but it's possible to do this. Now, let me show you some of the other riser options. All right, so here is the Tour Elite 2. So this has got a cutout for like a single treadle style. I'm just gonna kind of set it over the top here, just so you can have a sense. We can still put that guy there. Still put this guy here. I could even still really fit my chorus there if I wanted, so I didn't really lose too much. You know, I might even have space to put that guy back there. I might just lose 1. That might be a little tight, but I definitely could get, I basically lose 1 in the back row and probably 1 or 2. I might be able to fit, might be able to make that work in the front row if I had just 1, like throwing a volume pedal in there. This would definitely work. That volume pedal would work with a single cutout. Wah pedal would definitely work. That would definitely work, no problem. And then of course I could upgrade to the 3, which is the Tour Elite 3 that has that additional cutout. So there's a double cutout. And I think that probably makes the most sense if you're gonna go this big, just so you can get your wah and your volume with the same space that you have all your other pedals. And again, this is still 29 by 15. So this can still meet all the kind of travel requirements if you're gonna use the proof cases. Most configurations of pedals are gonna still be under that 50-pound limit. Now, there's going to be some conditions, let's say if everybody just had Mesa V-twin pedals or something like that that are crazy heavy. But for general pedals, Boss, Ibanez, MXR, Strymon, you're not going to exceed that, even in the case using these pedal boards. They're aircraft aluminum. It's the lightest weight, strongest stuff you can get. So it's definitely well worth the investment if you want to have that ability to build up, or you want that ability to be able to use a switcher, bury stuff underneath that you don't have to see. It's a really, really handy tool for that. Or just use the small ones. Like I use the small 17 by 10 travel lights all the time because I can fit 10 or 12 pedals on it. And I don't even need the ability for the switcher. I can just put them all in series and I can carry that on. It's really easy. So, yeah, Yannick Gwizdala style. Well, and I think he's using our pedal boards. So he's able to do that because of the type of pedal board that he uses. But let's see if we got any quick questions we can answer. I got like 2 minutes before I hit the cutoff here, because I got to get going at 2. But definitely make sure that you check out Sweetwater. Will we still have the MK1 versions of the board? It's a good question. No, we won't. So really the thing about the MK1s is there's not really any reason to produce them, and there's such a shortage on metal that it's all being rationed. So if we try to produce, you know, the same amount of metal in 2 different models, it's just going to be diminishing. It's going to take away from and cannibalize our available metal to make the boards for the Mark IIs. So the Mark I series will not be available. However, these risers can be retrofitted to the Mark I. So if you want to buy a Mark II riser, which we will sell those individually as individual pieces, you'll be able to buy those separately and mount them to your MK1 board platforms if you want. So that could be a good way to upgrade, not have to spend the full amount to get a platform and the riser. Also, with our last minute, we also have individual pedal risers. I've shown them a few times on the channel and on some of our live streams. I'll just grab one real quick. So here's just one example. They're made for all the common pedal sizes. This one is number 9, but they start all the way at 1. So they can go for Strymon, they can go for Boss, all the MXR kind of standard sizes, JHS, Chase Bliss, every version of pedal, there's an option for a riser. And we have them in 3/4 inch or double this, which is 1.5 inch sizes. And it has a routing channel going horizontally for cables to go underneath. And it has another routing channel here to go front to back. So you can put a pedal here, you have options to route through it, to route behind it. And this also will allow you to just put dual lock or power grip, our recommended Velcro, on the back. And you can just put this down on the board. You don't have to drill anything. So really, really handy tool. These are being shipped to Sweetwater as we speak and to Chicago Music Exchange. If you want to get one, talk to your Sweetwater sales engineer, talk to your sales rep at Chicago Music Exchange, or even Hal Leonard or any of their dealerships they distribute to, because they distribute our products to a lot of the dealerships in the US. There's still some that we maintain in-house. Or if you're in Europe, talk to Har Guitar and Parts or Thomann, and you will be able to pre-order these. They are on their way now, literally as we speak. And so you want to make sure you get one of those. Again, if you have Mark I, you can upgrade to the Mark II by getting just the riser section, and you can retrofit the new riser lift part to the existing Mark I boards. Not much changed about the platform other than the logos. So that's what we got for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining. If you like what you saw, put a thumbs up. If I didn't answer your question, please put that in the comments below. And I will make sure that I get to those over the course of the weekend. That could be about fit, that could be about how many pedals. If you got this particular scenario, will it fit on board 1 versus board 2? Which riser do I need? Any of that stuff I can answer for you. So have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you later.